Welcome to Decode Sessions, your favorite weekly podcast where we decode what's going on across fashion, lifestyle, tech, and more.
Our team just sneezed in the background, but I can only echo what you just said.
Please like and subscribe and rate.
Today's a good one. We're going to treat two subjects that a lot of our clients come to us with. One is live shopping, which has obviously been around for quite a few years now, and brands are still wrapping their heads around it, I would say.
Yes.
And the second one is TikTok Shop, which is fairly new to many. It doesn't exist in all markets yet. And the current setup is that you need to have different TikTok shops for different markets, but we can come to that in a minute. But we get mixed sentiment from clients on it. I feel like there's a lot of fear around it because it's immediately associated with volume and loss of control and some other factors that might scare specifically a smaller brand or a newer brand. But there's also obviously a lot of optimism around it. And in general, I think there's room for education, and hopefully we can provide some of that.
Some insights
today. Yeah. Let's start with a stat, which is TikTok Shop reported revenue for Q1 of $5 billion, which is, if you look at in the US, brands like Costco and Target put together, $5 billion is actually higher than what they sell online for. So it's a huge number. And 2025, they reached $64 billion in global sales, and it's a 94% year-on-year increase.
That's insane.
So it's growing rapidly, and the live shopping element, which I know that you're going to talk to us a little bit more about in a minute, Caitlin, that is 10% of TikTok Shop's total sales.
And growing.
What I find quite interesting, I'm just going to do one more stat here, is that the engagement rate for affiliate links on TikTok Shop is 5.2%. And for someone like me who's worked with influencers for many, many years on Instagram, that is a huge
very
number.
high, right?
It's 160% higher than that of Instagram. Okay. So it's really working, and it is engaging people, and I'm very interested to see where this goes. I think it has so much potential. Once I think once we get over some of the teething issues. So currently, like I said, TikTok Shop is available in the UK and in the US, and in certain areas of Europe, it's not available in the Nordics. I know that, being Swedish. And I think it's interesting to look at it from draw the parallel to Amazon a little bit, because Amazon obviously started selling books and built out their whole model based on like testing it on books. And they proved the concept through books by creating the distribution infrastructure that then allowed them to sell other products. The interesting thing is with TikTok Shop, you don't need any of that. Like, you don't need any infrastructure. It skips everything. You have no warehouses, you have no logistics. You are distributing through the businesses that are selling on the platform. And for anyone that goes on there to buy, it's just a one-click purchase.
It's incredibly easy, especially here in the UK.
Tell me, I mean, the only thing I'd say before I ask you a question is that the only thing you need really for TikTok Shop to work is great content. I mean, it's not an only thing because it also comes with its challenges, but it can be less costly than a warehouse. So in terms of the kind of one-click shop, like, tell me about your experience, because I purchased once through TikTok Shop, and I know that you've done it on multiple occasions and multiple types of products.
Yeah. I love TikTok Shop just because of its ease, I would say. So they've really removed a lot of the friction around checkout, which is a lot of, issues that traditional e-com has. Cart abandonment, you always hear about rates around that. I think with TikTok Shop, you can see you purchase through video. So obviously video has grown massively across all types of social media. And the purchases that I've been driven to make have been through influencers that I either know or do not know. But when you're not in live, not real time, we'll get to live in a little bit, but when you're shown via video the product at different angles, and when it's beauty specifically in different lighting on different skin tones, you feel like you get more of the product information, and I kind of have a better sense of how it would fit if it's fashion, how it would look on my skin tone if it's beauty, and it just drives me to purchase by clicking on this tiny little bar at the bottom that says buy now. It takes you to a shop. It has some of your information in it already. You click. I Apple Pay quite easily, and then it arrives to my house. And in the UK, it's directly connected to the delivery services. There aren't as many as there are in the US, and so I get an email that says it's out for delivery today. It's going to arrive. It just arrived at your front door. And so the connectivity there between, point of purchase, through to delivery and arrival at your house is so seamless and so fast, especially in the UK, that to me it is much easier than searching up a brand, going to the website of that brand that I found, putting it in my cart, going through the whole checkout process. So I've done it quite a few times with beauty. I've actually done it with fashion, more out of curiosity. I like experimenting with different distribution channels. So whether it's traditional e-com, I've done a lot in live shopping. I like secondhand marketplaces. I love TikTok Shop. I've tried to kind of have the same experience across Instagram, but I don't. So I've bought fashion items that are actually not total crap.
Are these brands that were totally unknown to you before?
Yes. Yeah. For me, it was brand discovery, and I do see brands on there that I know about, but I'm much more inclined to purchase something when it has a super accessible price point. So I feel like it's not that large of a risk. And I think that probably factors into the growth of TikTok and concerns that some of the brands have, is that it has to be more entry price point. Yeah.
I mean, what you're saying, it ties into where I'm going with this and why it really works for Gen Z and Gen Alpha, because TikTok Shop has very cleverly not invented a new shopping behavior. It's just taken an existing shopping behavior and made it really frictionless, as you're saying, and removed every single obstacle from it. And it's almost scary how simple it is.
How easy it is.
The one purchase that I made, I did it probably within 10 seconds of seeing it, and it was so easy that I almost thought that I'd been scammed. I wasn't even sure, is this product going to arrive? But talking about this, normally the old purchase funnel, the way we know it and how we've been trained as marketers to look at it, has 14 touch points. And just to go through a few of them, it's seeing an ad, Googling the product, reading a review, visiting the website, seeing it again on Instagram, asking a friend, going back to the website, adding it to cart, abandoning cart, getting a retargeting ad, and so forth. None of that happens here. TikTok has really collapsed all of that. It's scroll, stop, buy.
Yes, that's exactly how I purchase.
So the audience, as you can imagine, 36% of those shopping on TikTok are Gen Z, and they shop monthly. Yeah. And 75% of all Gen Z women buy things on TikTok Shop, 75%. And 62% of men. So it's huge. And the importance of identity is really big here. So, and I think it's not too different from how we were. So just hear me out on this. When you're young, you think in terms of aesthetic. And this really resonates with me because when I was a teenager, I couldn't quite make my mind up whether I was a skateboarder, where I was a raver, whether I was into hip hop, and
Did you try all of them?
I dressed accordingly. Yeah, but I mean on a weekly basis. I could be scratching my head in the morning going to school. I'm like, what am I going to be today, and who am I actually? The typical teenage identity crisis. Yeah. And so that's not new. And younger people are still like that. But what the new ways of shopping helps with is that you don't have to shop by season anymore. You can shop by aesthetic. Yes. We had to shop by season, and we were given magazines, and we had to look in the magazines.
We had to shop by trend.
Yeah, and now you can wake up one morning and say, I want to be Gorp core, or I want to be cottage core. And you can search by that aesthetic, and you can immediately shop it. So that's where TikTok really caters to younger generations' needs. And they don't get dictated anymore what is trending or what is right for that season. They can decide for themselves whether they want to be wearing ski goggles in the spring. I'm just making it up, but you know what I mean.
I mean, I think that's a really good point, if I can jump in that TikTok is a really great vehicle for discovery, whether it's discovery of places you want to go on holiday to discovery of different styles and different trends. You can find there's so many users and creators on TikTok that you can find someone doing something that you like, no matter what you're into.
It's the biggest place of discovery out there right now for a brand.
So their natural progression of, you're discovering your identity on there. You're discovering what you like and finding people who have, similar likes and dislikes. And so the next logical step would then be to make a point of purchase at the point of discovery, as opposed to it being, 10 steps later. It collapsed the funnel, it shortened it. So as I'm discovering, I'm also have a one-touch, one-click, frictionless way to then purchase what I literally just discovered. And it's genius.
You're giving me a really good segue into my next point, because as you say, it is a discovery platform, and in many instances, you do discover the brand for the first time. This is also where it scares me, because unless you are controlling the narrative through the creators that you work with, you are completely in the hands of someone else.
Yeah.
Let me get back to that, though. I want to talk a little bit about sort of where it works and where it doesn't, and I will come back to this. So in my case, I've got my products with me here. In my case, looking at the statistics of when people shop on TikTok, I fit the bill perfectly. So it's typically late night purchases under $100.
Yes, always.
And these two products I've got with me here, they were exactly that. Low price point. It's cream eyeshadows. And what works especially well for TikTok as well are products that, when you see them, you notice a difference with them. So it's either that, it could be something that, changes your, it can be a foundation that changes your under eye color, or it can be a product that makes you look slimmer. I'm just making it up. But it's also how they...
Like a notable visible change that it makes.
But it's also how they film. Okay. So these products filmed really well. Like when they were applied on the eye, it was enjoyable to watch, and it looked good. And that's exactly how TikTok works. This is another product. I'm just going to put my mic down for a minute to show. It has this little star-shaped, this is a hand cream, but it's got this little star-shaped thing in the tube, which means that when it comes out, it looks like whipped cream. And this is exactly the kind of product that would work really well on TikTok, because it's filmable. It's something that's interesting to watch. So therefore, of course, beauty performs really well. Fashion is slowing down a little bit. Beauty and health and wellness is just growing.
I would say that one of the reasons, again, is price point. If you're buying a hand cream, how much did the eyeshadow gloss things cost?
Oh, probably like £10.
Like 2 days ago, I bought a 13-pound lip liner that arrived this morning to my house. So, but I would never go above, let's say, like £50.
Yeah. So in terms of for the types of businesses that this works really well, and it doesn't, but it's perfect for a new business, because like you said, it gives you such a platform for discovery. Where it's also scary, though, is that you do lose control. So in terms of, if you want to work with creators and hand over control to creators, what it requires is heavy gifting, which can be very expensive for a brand. And I'm talking thousands of pieces.
I was going to ask how many,
Yeah, it can be thousands. Like, you need to have a whole fleet of creators, or they're called like affiliates, that you send the product to. And, if you're a new brand, even if you have a very low cost per unit, that can be really costly. But you need to do that. You need volume. And then what also often means that it converts, and I'm sure that was the case for you when you purchased the fashion items, is discounts. And that's also, you might not be in a position to heavily discount when you're a new brand. The tricky thing is that when you are doing it like that, when you're heavily gifting, you are handing over control.
Yeah.
And if you are a new brand going into a new market, like someone came to me the other day and said, oh, we want to launch in the UK via TikTok shop, I would never do that, because no one has any preconceived view of your brand.
If your first touch point with a brand is TikTok shop, then it's not a good thing.
No. And also, many purchases can be one-off. Like, you're not building brand loyalty.
Yeah.
And you'll talk a little bit about QVC in a moment, but where QVC was different was that it was the founders of the brands that came on the channel. First, they were trained by QVC, and then they came on the channel and they talked about their brand. Here, you have people that know nothing about your brand and they're talking about it. And also on TikTok, what really performs is shocking content. So you will have beauty products that have been, they become viral and sold out, but it's because the person who spoke about them put slime on her face and then she used the cleanser to remove the slime just to show the how efficient,
Efficacious.
yes, the product was.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I was the brand owner, I don't want to put my cleanser in the context of slime. There is a way around
Depends on how
that,
you're
though.
building your brand. I mean, some brands are more about volume sales than about the actual brand building, world building itself.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think, though, if you're building a brand with the view, let's say you're building a beauty brand with the view to sell it to a L'Oreal in the future, and that's like you're building your pension fund, that's not going to happen through diluting your brand through TikTok Shop. You're going to get huge volume quickly. You might earn a lot of money from that, but it's not going to give your brand the legs to stand on for a longer period of time. So you need a multi-channel approach, and that's where it can also get expensive. And I think in the world of beauty, that's where brick and mortar, or not just brick and mortar, but also like e-commerce, like e-tailers, they do still play a very important role, because people will be able to discover your brand through other places or through advertising or through, very kind of distinct ways of working with creators where you brief them and pay them. There is a way around it, but it does also cost money. And that is working with creators, but in a much more directed way, where you house them and give them the opportunity to film. And a lot of brands do this in studios in 1 hour slots. So it's kind of QVC style. A creator comes in, talks about the product for an hour. The next person comes in, talks about a product for an hour.
Yeah.
It's
so you're not
expensive.
getting the same volume, and it's more costly, but you have more control.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, what I hear you saying, and if I was a brand, this is my takeaway, is that you need to do your brand building. You need to world build outside of TikTok Shop through traditional e-com or brick and mortar or collaborations or just excellent, more traditional marketing tactics, and then actually live upon TikTok Shop as a distribution vehicle.
Yeah.
So people can use it as a touch point, but not for an understanding of who you are.
Yeah. And the sad truth is, like with everything else that we do, it's not a quick win. Like, it's not going to immediately generate results, and it will require money. It will require money in terms of either heavily gifting product, heavily slashing the prices of your product, or paying for creators to do it in the way that you want them to do it. But volume is key.
You know what I think it would actually be really genius for brands, and I'm sure brands already do this, just none that I can think of off the top of my head, is that creating a separate TikTok specific, so designing a product that you say is very filmable, very photographable, that's very visually pleasing, and have that as a lower price point within your brand, an entry price point designated solely for TikTok.
Yeah.
So people can discover your brand through that one piece and purchase it at a low price point, and then they can start seeing your brand everywhere else, outside in the wild, outside of TikTok Shop, and then get a better understanding of what your brand actually is, and then become brand loyal to that. So it's almost like you're not destroying. I mean, destroying is a quite aggressive word. When you talk
but
about
you
TikTok
can have
Shop.
you can have two strands of your brand almost.
So people can have that point of purchase when they discover on TikTok, but it actually is. It almost kind of separates and isolates a product to TikTok Shop.
Yeah.
And then if people really want to know more about the brand, the other things that are higher price points, better quality, can live outside of TikTok Shop.
The diffusion line.
Right. TikTok diffusion.
Yeah. To summarize it, I think TikTok Shop is the most exciting opportunity out there right now from a commerce perspective. And I think all brands need to consider it in one way or the other. But it needs to be, you need to bear in mind that it's also the platform or the kind of marketing channel that can dilute your brand and wipe it instantly if it's not done right. So you need to really have the right people around you to do it. Us. And lastly, I would just close on this before I hand over to you to say this is at its infancy. I mean, we saw Instagram like this nearly 15, 20 years ago.
And everyone was so afraid to touch social media, Instagram.
And right now, the recommendation is luxury brands, stay away, just use it as a cultural platform, don't sell through it. We have seen through YouTube that, people will watch videos of very expensive items, watches, handbags, whatever, to see how they work, to see how they've been crafted, etc. I do not see why that could not be happening through TikTok in the future and eventually lead to a purchase. So I think it's the future. It just needs to be handled correctly and with care at the moment.
Agreed.
Okay, obviously, loads to talk about here, and I feel like we could be going on for ages, and we have been teasing the live shopping element, but drumroll, you'll be getting that in the part 2 of this. Part 2 of this episode. So for now, we're going to love you and leave you. Thank you for your time, attention, your sharing, your liking, your subscribing. It all helps. And
your rating.
That too. We love you. Until next time, thank you so much.
Bye.